All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to call this podcast is The Perfect Life Does Not Exist. And I'm sure I'm going to get maybe a lot of flack regarding this. But in my opinion, I think it's ridiculous to think that something can ever be perfect. My family has a saying, and I use it as my slogan. One of my uncles, there's no such thing as perfection, but if you don't aim for it, you'll never come close. And that's a really cool slogan because it's like somebody who's wanting to always improve and make things the best they can. But the reality is, there truly is no such thing as perfection. There's always something that's flawed regarding something, I believe. Now, we may say things are perfect regarding certain things, but as you know, as time goes on, there's always room to improve. And then you start to see the flaw, right? At least I do, and I think others as well. But when it comes to people being obsessed with trying to get or find the perfect life and being upset that it doesn't kind of go their way, I'm here to tell you there's really no such thing. Now, that doesn't mean you can't lead an incredible life, right? But you have to understand that things in your life are going to happen that are out of your control. And I just did a previous podcast not long ago called You're Going to Fuck Up, So Learn to Move On. And I believe that. Again, you can't control others around you. You don't know what's going to happen to you in your life, for the most part. Not only by the hour, by the minute, by the second. You don't know what's going to happen. So for you to really, I think for a lot of people to think, for me to have this perfect life, it's got to be this way, is great to have, a blueprint to that. But what I think a lot of people don't understand is when they get to that point a lot of times, they're not nearly as happy as they thought they would be. Or to get to that point, the struggles it may take, or when getting to that point, all the other things that have to come into play to keep living that way. And a lot of people, it could even be relationships, for instance. A lot of people think for them to have the perfect life, they have to be married, hypothetically, or they have to have a house with a white picket fence, or they need this type of car. Those are all great things. Get whatever the hell you want to get. But I'm here to tell you, most likely, possessions do not lead to the perfect life a lot of times. They definitely make life a lot better. But I think what really is, when you start talking about a life that's perfected, is people. Unless you're going to be by yourself, that may be different. But most people are not by themselves. So when they say they want a perfect life, like a perfect, family, for instance, that is so unrealistic to me, because one is, you can't control your wife. You're definitely not going to control your children. You don't even know how your children are going to come out. You don't know if they're going to be healthy or not healthy. You also don't know what roads they're going to lead down. And a lot of times you may see people with these lives that you think do live the perfect life. And I think a lot of celebrities, or maybe even politicians, or certain people that you see, public figures, you think are leading the perfect life. And then as time goes on, or you hear about them, or someone writes a biography on them, or they even come out and talk about their life and all the struggles that they've gone through. Once they kind of show you their honesty about what it's truly like. It kind of reminds me of what Princess Diana, I once heard. She talked about being a princess in the castle or whatever the hell in London, and she said from the outside, it looks like heaven. I think she said this, or someone said this. I don't want to misquote her. But I heard this about that, and I thought she was the one. Outside looks like heaven, inside is hell. So when you look at things from the outside, a lot of things you may think that is the perfect life may not be. But I do think what's interesting is when I meet people is a perfect life could be a lot simpler, or should be a lot simpler. And if they went at it at a much simpler pace and kind of simplified it, I think they would be a lot happier. Because I think a lot of people have been programmed, at least in our country or North America, mainly the United States, a lot of us, that you have to have all these different types of things set in place before you die, so you kind of have this perfect life or this perfect lifestyle. And again, it was kind of programmed in you. It's really not who you are or necessarily what you want. And I've really seen this kind of with comedians, I guess you could say. My father, we used to book, comedians. And some comedians, it's kind of like the Billy Joel song when he says, "It's my life," and he closed up shop and he went to L.A. and now he's in L.A. doing stand-up, right? The comedian. And he may or may not be happy. He may be in a shitty comedy club. He may be living in a bad apartment, whatever. Or then he could end up famous, like a lot of famous comedians on television with their own shows and, doing tours. But the point being is, sometimes you got to figure out who you are. And the perfect life is kind of the one, not that you're necessarily leading now, but it could be a lot better than you think it is. But it could be something much simpler than what everybody has programmed you to believe regarding your life. Because I have another friend or, a couple other friends that are in their mid-40s that never did get married. And they never had kids. And, in their life, maybe later in life, are they going to be sad that they don't have any kids or grandkids? I don't think so. I think they're going to be fine. But even though they, for the most part, have led a life, I think, kind of the perfect life for what has suited them. And they seem very happy. Does that mean they're going to change and not get married in the future or not have kids? I don't know. But my point being is, if we kind of simplify our life and be honest with what we truly want to do, where we truly want to live, and not having, if you're an actor, hypothetically, you're kind of programmed to say, I have to win the Oscar, right? I mean, it's a great award or whatever, right? Say you're, you're a trader in New York or Chicago or whatever. You have to be a millionaire and have a home in, if you're in New York, the Hamptons, hypothetically, or a billionaire, or whatever you want to be. That's great. Those are great goals at everything. And, more power to you. But I think a lot of people that do certain things, so if you want to be a trader, maybe you don't have to feel that way. And you just have to address that. Become self-aware. Same with if you want to run your own construction company, maybe you don't have to build mansions, right? You could build small homes, or you could build whatever the hell, tree houses for all I give a shit. Making kids happy. You kind of have the opportunity, I think, to make a great life for yourself. In the future, you just have to become more self-aware of truly who you are and not what you think is perfect, right? That is just something that I thought I would do a subject on, because I do see a lot of people getting obsessed with possessions, especially, and I've been there and I've discussed this on previous podcasts. Possessions are great, especially in the beginning, but like I've said, it's maintaining those possessions. And then also, after a while, just like anything in life, I promise you, you will get bored with things. I don't care. You don't probably think that. If you love fishing, for instance, you're like, my dream is to get a boat. Then you get the boat, you go fishing, and you love fishing. Eventually, you're going to get bored with that boat. Same with a car. You may have always wanted a certain car, as you know, and don't get me wrong, you may love the car. But it's just human nature to maybe want other things and understand that. So I just thought I would do a podcast on that. And don't beat yourself up regarding things not always being perfect, because I promise you, for the love of God, you may think other people, are living this perfect lifestyle. And the more I've learned about people over my entire life, because I have so many friends and family members, and a lot of people don't realize all the shit other people are going through. They don't realize, what other people are going through with their parents, maybe. It could be illnesses, sicknesses. It could be with their own children, what they're going through. It could be what they go through in their companies or where they work. All these different types of things, you just have to realize it's not always what it seems. So I just thought I would do a quick podcast on that. So if you get a chance, you might want to check out my YouTube channel. It's Rich CELENZA. I got a lot of different things in there regarding fitness lately. Also, my favorite restaurants all over North America, mainly Italian, different smoothie and coffee spots as well. And I was in Hawaii, did some stuff. Just a bunch. I'm all over the damn place. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you're traveling, safe travels and take care.